All right, so here we're going to talk about doing the extrude command. And with the extrude command, the reason I started a new drawing, just so that I would kind of have a flat 2D view here, is I'm just going to draw some lines, just in a random shape, whatever shape. And I'm going to copy that. A few times over. So I'll put myself into isometric view here. I'll go ahead and change my color to be a different color. All right. So with when you have a 2D object that you want to take it and make it into a 3D object, one of the ways that you can do that is with the extrude command. But the extrude command really only works, or well, I should say it only works the way that you want it to when you're extruding a polyline or when you're extruding a surface. And so I want to show you, you saw me draw these just with regular line command, not a polyline command. Mm-hmm. So if I want to extrude this object, I'm in 2D wireframe, let's put it in conceptual. If I want to extrude this object, it's extruding it. It's actually making it have depth along the z-axis, but it's not what we were looking for. This is just building up kind of walls or just the outline of the shape. It's giving thickness to those lines along the z-axis. So the extrude command used to not work at all, but for the last few releases it started doing this. So it sort of works, but not the way we wanted it to. What we had to do before is do a polyline. And so you could have started with a polyline, assuming that polyline is perfectly flat. And you could extrude, select the polyline, and that's more what we were looking for it to do. So if you have regular lines, there's a couple of things that you could do. In AutoCAD, it used to be the p-edit command, polyline edit. You select a line, and then it says, hey, that's not a polyline. Do you want to make it one? Yes. And then you had the option to join, and you could join this whole thing together as one long continuous polyline. AutoCAD, a couple of releases ago, they came out with this option, though. If you go to modify, you've probably seen this before, that join command. Join does that, and it skips over that p-edit. Click the line, then make it a polyline. Now you can say join. It just skips over all of that, and it says, hey, as long as these lines are on the same plane and touching each other, I can highlight them all, and it will join them into a polyline. So when I look at my properties, it's a polyline. So if you have those lines, you can make it into a polyline with the join command, and then you can extrude, and you can just extrude along there. What you were asked to do, if you remember in your 1405 class, one of the things that you were told to do is you opened up a drawing. It was already drawn in 2D, and you were making it into 3D. This is chapter 13 of your first class. There's a command here called region. And so with the region command, I don't know if you guys remember doing this, you select those same lines, you press enter, and you see how it kind of shaded it in right there? It's like it put a surface right there. So I can take that then and extrude, and that works just as well. So instead of having to make it into a polyline, I can make it into a surface, a region there. Another thing that I can do, let me move this out of the way. Another thing that we can do, though, is instead of having to do this extrude command where, you know, what if I had a circle in here and I went to do the join command and then extrude. Well, I've just lost that circle. So what if I wanted that circle to be a hole? Then I would have to kind of flip it upside down, or maybe extrude that first, extrude this circle right there, you know, and give it some height so that it's now a cylinder, and then I could subtract from this, enter, and now you can see I've got a hole going through here. But check this out. Starting in release 2007, I'll put in a circle there. AutoCAD came out with a PressPull command. And with the PressPull command, it doesn't care if it's individual lines or not. You click inside of the area, it finds the boundaries. As long as it's closed off, you know, it's fully, all the lines are touching, it finds the boundaries, kind of like the hatch command does. and you can just come in here and you can press pull. The cool thing about the press pull command is, since it's finding the boundaries, it found that circle. And so as I'm press pulling this through here, it's automatically extruding that circle and subtracting that circle for me. If I were to draw a circle on the surface right here, and I press pull that, I can either press pull it through to make another hole, or if I were to press pull it up, this is all one piece. It unioned it together. So that's the difference between press pull and extrude. There's definitely a time and a place for each. I prefer the extrude command any chance that I can get. I'll have something drawn in 2D and I'll extrude it. Times that extrude won't work is if you had something like a counter bore. So let's come over here. Let's say I had a counter bore, where this outer biggest diameter here only goes down like 0.25 or something like that. If I were to press pull this whole thing, that would be a giant hole all the way through it. So there's a time and a place where you would not want to use the press pull command. For the most part, I do like it and I do like to use it. What's cool is you can press pull not only a 2D object into 3D. This is a 3D surface right here. I can press pull that out. I can press pull this through here, and it actually subtracted it. I can press pull this out. I can take anything. I can subtract. I can modify the shape of this just super, super easily with that press pull command. Another thing that I can do is if I wanted to draw a line maybe from here to here, it acknowledges that line and it finds that region. So now I'm able to kind of press pull this through here. That press pull command is super, super, super powerful.
Did you do a subtract command or something? Why did it separate and take that piece out and not the other ones that you did?
Which one? When I went through here?
Mm-hmm. Through the middle.
Yeah, when I went through the middle, it's just because when you press pull into an object, it subtracts it out.
Oh.
When you press pull out of an object, it kind of unions them together, which is how I got that hole to be through there. Press pulled it into it and it subtracts it out. So it's kind of, press pull is kind of like joining the union command, the subtract command, the extrude command. It kind of like does all of those together in one big command. And it doesn't need it to be a polyline. Do you guys have questions about that? Super, super cool. You're going to use the press pull command all the time. And if you were to use, have y'all heard of a program called SketchUp? So SketchUp, it used to be a little small proprietary software right around the time that AutoCAD came out in that release 2007. Google bought SketchUp. And so that's the release where AutoCAD came out with a bunch of 3D features. And it really kind of ripped SketchUp off. The conceptual style where it takes the warm and cool shades of an object or a color and displays them that way. That's the way SketchUp looks. That sketchy option, SketchUp does that. And SketchUp has a command, it does exactly the same thing, but theirs was called push-pull. They were like, hey, that's pretty nice. I secretly, my opinion is, this is totally made up, but sometimes I think that Autodesk tried to buy SketchUp, which that's what they do. They buy up, smaller companies and make it their own. But Google won. I mean, I don't know if I don't know that there truly was a bidding war there, but part of me thinks that it all happened around the same time. So I'm like, maybe they were trying to buy it. They couldn't buy it. So they're like, well, we'll just press pull instead of push pull. So anyway, that is the difference between extrude and press pull. You'll use both of them quite a lot.